This video is going to show you how you can manually duplicate a site for each one of your students. Now, just to note that this does take a bit of time to do, and there is a faster way to do it with the Google Drive folder option that was shown in a previous video that only has students do one click on their own and it's done. However, for some younger learners, some learners that just need some more support, we can do this for them. So here's how this is done. You go to the three dots and you duplicate the site. So this would be your master site. You want your students to have a copy of this, so you select duplicate site. You can put their name. So we'll just use John Smith as an example. If you do have this in a folder where students did make the copy, so for example, if you watched the previous video and you saw how you create this folder and they right click and make the copy, you're not going to want the duplicate to go in that folder. Okay, so you're going to want to change the folder location. An idea is to create a new folder for a specific class period. So you can create a new folder. Maybe it's titled Period 2 Avid 2021, 2022. Okay. This is also a nice touch because then the sites are all going to go in one folder to access, which is great. Okay, so it's going to be there. As far as sharing with the same editors, unless you have a co-teacher or something, you might not have other editors on here. But if you do, that's fantastic. And then you're going to duplicate. So as it copies, you can keep doing this. You can keep repeating this. Go to duplicate site, duplicate the site, put the student name in, move it into the folder, and copy that. Or you can do these steps in this order. So I made the site. It says copy started, check your email for updates. So if you do have an email attached to your username, it will email you when a site is copied. Just a note that for my particular school district, students do have a Poway account that is linked to a Google account, but they actually don't have an email. So it won't email them anytime they make a copy. Just a side note there. Okay, so to find where that copy is located, there's multiple ways you can do it. You can go to sites, or you can type in the URL sites.google.com/new, and all of your sites will appear here, okay? So here is John Smith. And now there's some extra things you'll need to do to get this to John Smith. Again, it takes some time, but if you feel it's worth it, especially for a specific group of students, or if you just have younger learners, then go ahead and spend the time. So you'll go to publish and you will create a web address. You might want to just put their first initial last name. This will be their web address, whatever yours looks like. Just a note that if they ever change the web address, but they already linked it somewhere, the link will break, right? This is just like a URL. So then they can go to who can view my site. They can manage. It really depends on your permissions and your district and your age group. So right now it has restricted. Only people added can open with this link. So that's going to be the most restricted and the most private. You already have access to it. So this is great for student privacy. But some other options, we're going to the publish site, are your district domain if you have that option, or public, okay? You may consider getting parent permission and definitely discuss this with your district prior to deciding, but restricted is a safe bet. As far as draft, I'm going to share that in a moment. So draft can remain restricted, that's fine. And then you can select done, and you can select publish. As soon as it's published, you'll see that drop down. That arrow wasn't there before, so that's how you can see that you published it. Now we want to get John Smith his eBinder. So you should add that student as a collaborator. So type their name in. I'm just going to use a colleague's name for an example. And you will want to at first make them editor. You can notify if they have an email address. If they don't, then they will be able to find it in their shared drive, okay? So I'm going to not notify for now. And so you'll create editor and you'll go to share. Before I click that, just a note, there's no option here to create owner. There's none. You have to give them editing access first. And then watch this. You'll go to share again, go to that student's name, and you can make them owner. So the new owner will be notified and could remove you. You also might lose the ability to change their settings. So there can only be one owner as of now. So that's just something to note. So we're going to go ahead and go to share. We're going to say, yes, we do want them to be the owner. And now it makes you editor, which is also a beautiful thing, because if for some reason they have some published settings issues or you want to see them working live, you can in editing mode. So you will select done. Okay. And then one final thing to note, you will want to grab this drop down and you will want to go to publish settings. And personally, I unclick this because this is a student portfolio that we're talking about. It's not an actual website. So I want to see their changes live. I want to see them updated, right? Now, if I always use the example of like Nike. If it was Nike's website, you know, they're not going to want to see their users seeing all the edits they're making live, right? They're going to want to do the draft, make sure it's a final draft, and then press publish. That's why you would want this checked. I personally have students uncheck this and save it because then we can ensure that we can see everything. Now, of course, you being an editor, you can see all of the updates. You can. So that's really up to you and how students are sharing it. If they're sharing, for example, their eBinders with the class and they don't want to see the live edits, then that's a discussion you can have and a resource there to show them and, you know, talk about publishing and whatnot. So that is how you can use these little 3 dots like an ice cream scoop to manually create copies for your students in that way.